Welcome back to Through the Glass, where hockey meets heartbreak, humor, and just a touch of eyeliner. This week, the Flyers tested our patience, our nerves, and maybe even our faith in the hockey gods. We'll unpack that chaotic stretch from the near win that wasn't to the redemption that almost was, and that back and forth roller coaster that somehow still has us saying, yeah, I'll watch the next game. We'll also take a look around the league, the global series, the power rankings, some drama, some milestones, and a few cursed storylines. You know, the usual NHL chaos spiral. And I've got something new for you this week. A brand new segment that's equal parts nostalgia, appreciation, and maybe just a little unhinged. So stick around for that debut later in this episode. We've also got our hockey term of the week, a look at what's ahead for the Flyers, and as always, a little spooky energy to close things out. So grab your tea, your liquid death, light a candle if you're feeling dramatic, and let's dive right in. The Flyers had a 3-day break following last week's episode and their home loss to the Ottawa Senators. This time they faced the defending Western Conference champions, the Edmonton Oilers, in front of the home crowd at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. As I mentioned in last week's episode, the Oilers haven't been off to the best start, and goaltender Stuart Skinner continues to leave question marks around his consistency as a starter and honestly about whether Edmonton can make it to the Stanley Cup final with him in net, or let alone win one. While the Flyers themselves are nowhere near being Stanley Cup contenders, or even scratching the surface of the playoff picture, they've got goalie troubles of their own. After seeming to have a capable goaltender in Carter Hart for a few seasons, off-ice issues made him ineligible to play as he faced allegations from his time with Team Canada. Once the court rulings came down and players were cleared to return to the NHL, Hart decided to get a fresh start elsewhere with the Vegas Golden Knights. The Flyers did get a new goalie this season in Dan Vladar, who was formerly the backup for the Calgary Flames. He'd shown flashes of potential, but now he's really getting a chance to showcase his abilities here in Philadelphia. The team is currently rotating between Sam Ersson and Dan Vladar, and while the true number one hasn't been officially named, Vladar has had the stronger performances so far. That's earned him starts in the tougher matchups, including this one against the Edmonton Oilers. The Flyers held their own against Edmonton for much of the game. No goals were scored until the final minute of the opening period when Evan Bouchard found the net with just 55 seconds left. Matvei Michkov tied it up late in the second, assisted by Cam York and Travis Konecny, and the game stayed 1-1 until the final minute of the third. Then, with 23.5 seconds left, Travis Konecny appeared to score what would have been the game-winning goal, but after a league review, officials ruled that Owen Tippett was of course offside, wiping away the goal entirely. And if you've been watching the Flyers for a while, you can probably guess how this one ended. After that non-goal offside call late in the regulation, the game went to overtime, and it took just 1 minute and 19 seconds for Jack Roslovic to net the winner for the Oilers, resulting in yet another heartbreaking loss for the Flyers. The good news? The team had a chance to quickly put this one behind them, because the next two games were part of the annual Dad's Trip, where the organization invites the players' fathers to travel with them for a couple of road games. Also, don't worry, y'all, they do a mother's trip as well. They rotate between the two every year. They did a mom's trip last year around Halloween, so this season it's the dad's turn. Anyway, the trip kicked off in St. Louis, where the team and their dads had a nice dinner on Wednesday night, followed by a very eventful back-and-forth game against the Blues on Thursday night. I'm not going to break down every goal because we'd be here all day, but basically, St. Louis would score, the Flyers would tie, the Blues would score 2 more goals, and the Flyers would come back with 2 more goals. The rhythm went on all night. What is worth mentioning, though, is that Flyers forward Christian Dvorak, Trevor Zegras, and Owen Tippett were paired on the same line for this one, and they were hot. That line was responsible for all 5 goals scored by the Flyers, with Zegras and Dvorak each getting 2 and Tippett getting the other. In the final moments, Zegras had a breakaway opportunity and was interfered with, resulting in a penalty shot. A perfect chance to put away the game for the Flyers. He went for one of the stealthy moves that he's known for in shootout, but Jordan Bennington read him the entire way. Zegras couldn't convert, and you could see the frustration as he headed back to the team bench. The game therefore went into overtime, and neither team was able to find the back of the net, leading to a shootout. Just minutes after that missed penalty shot, Rick Tocchet gave Zegras a chance to put it behind him, sending him first out in the shootout. Zegras tried one of his signature moves again, but this time switched it up on Bennington right at the end. And this time, it worked. The puck found a net, giving the Flyers their first shootout goal of the night, and ultimately ended up being the game winner after a solid performance from Sam Ersson in net. For the next leg of the Dats trip, the Flyers headed to Texas to face the Dallas Stars. And listen, I'm just going to say this one started off on the wrong note from the beginning. As a Texas girl myself, I grew up rooting for the Dallas Stars, as well as another team that we don't mention in this podcast. But when the Flyers face Dallas, I'm orange and black all the way. Anyway, the Dats went to the Stockyard Rodeo to start off this portion of the trip, and this one doesn't sit well with me. I don't support the rodeo or using animals as entertainment. And again, that's coming from someone that grew up in Texas. But move on we shall. Back to hockey. On Saturday night, the Flyers faced the Stars at the always electric American Airlines Center. Between me and you, I don't really want to talk about this game because it wasn't great. But what is great is if you've never been to a Stars home game before, I highly recommend going. The atmosphere is incredible. They play Pantera as their goal song. Yeah, it's super fun to watch. Just like maybe don't go when they're playing the Flyers. Like maybe go when they're playing the Devils or the Islanders. That way it'll be easier to root for the Stars and just enjoy the vibe. Anyway, back to the game. Yeah, the Flyers didn't really show up for this one. It was a pretty reflective game where they were dominated by a Stars team that is absolutely among the elite in the NHL right now and could very easily make their way to the Stanley Cup final. That said, I think this game will humble up the Flyers a bit. Up until this one, I thought they were off to a pretty decent start. Even the losses against the tough teams, they never felt like out of the game, but this one slipped away fast. And this is by no means me hating on the Flyers. The Stars just have so much depth. I can only hope the Flyers look like that one day. This one was tough for me to watch because as a Stars fan too, it's always bittersweet, but still heartbreaking to see Philly dominated like that. The Stars took it 5-1, with the Flyers finally showing some signs of life late, but as seems to be the trend this season, too little, too late. Anyway, I don't want to leave y'all on that sour note, so let's balance it out with a segment that's a little sweeter and maybe even tasty. Welcome to Snack Packs, the segment where we give a respectful nod to the F Yeah Tumblr accounts of 2007 that dedicated entire blogs to the hottest hockey players in the planet. Now, yes, there's a little bit of thirst trap energy here, but around these parts, we know that looking hot isn't just about looking good without a shirt on. We know that a good suit pick, way better than a shirtless pick. But what really makes a player snack pack material is a mix of strong on-ice performance and off-ice wholesomeness. You know, those heartwarming cat mom, save the world kind of moments. Because yes, hockey players can be chaotic, but they can also be soft. And that's what we're here to celebrate. And why snack packs? Well, were you even living life in 2007 if you didn't watch the Grilly Estates lyric meme video a million times? If you know, you know, and if you don't, there's a screen graph floating around there somewhere. Look it up and educate yourself. So, who is our very first snack pack? All right, y'all. So I did a quick mic placement change because I felt like I needed to eat a snack pack while doing the segment. So here we go. I guess this is where I do the ASMR stuff, right? So who is our very first snack pack? Honestly, I surprised myself with this one, but it feels right. This week's snack pack is Cam York. Cam has been quietly having a glow-up season, both on the ice and apparently at home. The Flyers socials dropped a clip earlier this week where he is talking about his early success this season and what's changed, and he just casually mentions that he recently became a cat dad.
Or anything that's been feeling good for you, or are you just finding a comfort level in this league now?
I bought cats, actually.
Cats? Okay.
That's what I'm going to attribute to.
All right.
Not one cat, not two cats, but three.
I got a ragdoll from Ohio. I got a Siberian. I just got it shipped from Russia. And I have a British Longhair coming next week.
And listen, if you've been following Cam's journey, you know this hits different. He spent the last couple of seasons being scrutinized by John Tortorella, despite being one of our top defenders. Then this year, he started out the season sidelined with an injury, but since returning, he's been thriving under Rick Tocchet's system. Top minutes alongside Travis Sanheim, contributing assists on goals, and even scoring some of them. Looking confident, balanced, and dare I say, glowing. Maybe it's the system, maybe it's the cats, but either way, the Flyers' top defenseman is finally showing the calm, steady game we all knew he had, and doing it with big cat dad or cat mom energy.
It's the power of cats, yeah.
So this week, we're raising our pudding cups, or let's be real, almond pudding cups. Because if you're anything like me, you've been vegan for over a decade now. Seems to be the destiny of every 2000s alt kid. You wake up one day and you realize your eyeliner is cruelty-free and your pudding is made from oats or almonds. Cam York, certified snack pack. A man who defends the crease, plays with poise, and rescues kittens along the way. Now, if he could only teach Tippett to stay onside, we'd really have something going. Stay tuned for the next snack pack, where the chaos, the thirst, and the heartwarming hockey energy continues. All right, y'all, time for the NHL Roundup, where we take a quick lap around the league, sip some chaos, and see who's thriving, who's falling apart, and who might need a sage cleansing. Let's start overseas, because the NHL Global Series continued this week in Stockholm, Sweden, featuring the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Nashville Predators. The vibes? Pretty solid. Swedish fans always show out, and both teams came in needing to prove something. Nashville's been hanging around in that middle tier, and the Penguins are basically fighting to prove that they're not too old for this. The first game went to the Preds, who snapped their losing streak with a 2-1 shootout win. It was the kind of game where every shot looked like it was happening in slow motion, but they pulled it off. Then, on Sunday, the Penguins completely flipped the script and said, not so fast. Rookie goalie Sergei Murashov got his first career shutout, blanking the Preds 4-0. That's a huge confidence moment for Pittsburgh. And honestly, watching Sidney Crosby still do his thing halfway across the world feels like watching hockey royalty refuse to age. And hey, Flyers fans, you know what's wild? It's not even that Pittsburgh played great hockey. It's that they played calm hockey. Something that we could really use on our own end when things get messy. Next up, the power rankings dropped this week, and surprise, surprise, the Colorado Avalanche are still sitting pretty at number 1. They've been consistently dominant, and Nathan MacKinnon is just on another level right now. He had a 5-point night earlier in the week against the Canucks, which feels like something he just casually does now. Following them are the Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights, who, yes, are still a machine. And the Anaheim Ducks are suddenly sitting at second in the league standings. Yeah, Anaheim, the same team that half the internet forgot existed last season. They've been one of the most talked about teams so far this year. Their young core is showing personality, their goaltending has been solid, and the confidence is clearly there. We'll see if they can keep that up when they return to Philadelphia early next year, though. Moving over to some milestones and injury notes, because what's a week in the NHL without a little drama? Nathan MacKinnon, like I said, had his monster night. Over in Utah, yes, Utah, the Utah Mammoth continue to make noise in their second season, and their first under their new name. Logan Cooley and Nick Schmaltz are tied for the team lead in goals, which is just wild considering how young that roster still is. Lawson Cruz also played his 600th game in the NHL this week and scored in the same night. That's cinematic energy right there. On the less fun side, Jack Hughes is out for 2 months after a finger surgery, which is a huge blow for the Devils. He was leading the team offensively and is kind of their spark plug, so New Jersey might be in a tough stretch. And Thomas Harley from the Dallas Stars is out week to week with a lower body injury. That one stings too, especially after the Dallas Stars' hot start. Oh, and if you're wondering what's up with the Chicago Blackhawks, apparently they're suddenly good at killing penalties now. They had a strong 5-1 win over Detroit, and there's a little momentum happening there. Not enough to terrify anyone yet, but enough to say, okay, maybe they're not a free win anymore. Overall, this week in the NHL has been one of those shifting plates kind of weeks. Powerhouses holding their ground, new teams shaking up expectations, and fan bases everywhere learning to manifest calmness through chaos. That's your NHL Roundup for this week. And if you've been listening for a while, you know that hockey never sleeps, it just relocates. La palabra de esta semana es offside. O, en español, fuera de juego. If you've been anywhere near Flyers Twitter this week, you already know why. Offside happens when a player enters the offensive zone, then across the blue line, before the puck does. En otras palabras, si cruzas la línea antes que el disco, está fuera de juego. It's basically hockey's way of saying, slow down, hotshot, the puck goes first. And yes, we are looking at you, Mr. Owen Tippett.
He hangs on and gets it to the middle. Anaheim a shot, score! Deflected by Konecny!
When Travis Konecny ripped what looked like the game winner against Edmonton with 23.5 seconds left, the Xfinity Arena crowd went feral. And then the review. The officials took one look and said, sorry, Tippett was offside. Goal wiped, hearts shattered, Flyers fans collectively in therapy. And look, we're not mad because when Tippett is good, he's really good. Pero por favor, mi hermano, mira esa línea azul la próxima vez. We've already had 2 goals erased this season because of you. So yeah, offside, fuera de juego. It keeps the game fair, the pace honest, and occasionally keeps us screaming into our pillows. In Spanish, fuera de juego literally means out of the play. And that's exactly what it feels like. That 1 millisecond too early, that one skate a little too far. Es como si el universo te dijera, casi, pero no. So this week's lesson, check the line, trust the puck, and maybe don't celebrate too early. Because as every Flyers fan knows by now, la diferencia entre un gol y un no gol puede ser solo una bota de patín. Offside, fuera de juego. The word that taught us patience, pain, and why timing is everything. The Flyers now get a much-needed 4-day break to put that Dallas game firmly in the rearview mirror. They'll be back in action Thursday night, hosting the St. Louis Blues once again, this time at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Then, on Saturday, they'll face their division rivals, the New Jersey Devils, for the first time this season, wrapping up a short 2-game homestand before heading into their first truly grueling road trip of the year. Thanksgiving week will have them facing both Florida teams, first the Tampa Bay Lightning and then the Florida Panthers, which will actually be their 3rd matchup against the Florida Panthers already this season. After a quick breather on Thanksgiving Day, they'll jump right back into another brutal back-to-back stretch. First against the New York Islanders in Long Island that Friday, then closing out against the Devils in New Jersey the next night. This road trip's going to be a real test, not just out of stamina, but just how well the Flyers can exercise their back-to-back demons. Maybe this is where they finally flip that script. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Through the Glass. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Through the Glass PC for reels, updates, and behind-the-scenes chaos. Como siempre, stay spooky, Flyers fans. Bye!